Hi, my name is Dan Brunn. I'm an architect. This is Bridge House. Today I'll be giving you a tour. Why don't we step inside? All right, so we're here at Bridge House. It's a net zero, all sustainable house, meaning that it was designed in such a way that the house itself reduces the amount of energy consumption. So the house is 210 feet long, which is about the length of a 747, situated on the south side of the property. All the major windows are facing north, meaning that you don't get the sun heat gain from it, but you get all the light. The house is made out of 90% recycled steel structure, which is first of its kind. As you can see by the thickness of the walls too, a lot of insulation. So the house itself is also built almost like you could think of it like a submarine, really closed off. So when you come in, the gate slowly whirs open, you walk into the space, and the first thing that you see is the grand opening. When we see the house, you'll see how the brook really runs underneath it. You have a span of about 65 feet. Which is the bridge portion of the house. Upon entering also, you get to experience the length of the site. So as you follow me through, you'll see that. Let's go through. So at the first notion, you'll see that entering the house is a single step. And keep that in mind, because as we get to the back of the house, you'll see how that really changes. This is the main entrance to the house, which is also like the grand salon. So let's walk inside. One of the first things that you'll notice upon entering is the first space is a little bit lower, and then it opens up into this big salon space. This room is lit with natural light and abundance of it. The wall that we just walked through are these two big pivot doors. The idea there was you can imagine these two doors as they open, it's almost like a hug welcoming you home. And so if you recall, we walked, we turned, we walked into this space, and now you have this directionality towards the living green wall. This is an actual plant wall, and what it does beautifully is actually naturally filters the air. So you get really clean air through the plants. The water starts in the top, goes the whole way down. There's a trough at the bottom, and it all happens automatically. We worked with a company called Habitat Horticulture to build this wall. The other thing that's a little neat is if you see the two white panels, those white panels actually open. Behind that is the bar. So when we hold different types of events, sometimes the furniture will be moved around. And you can imagine walking up to this and being, greeted with a wonderful bartender and a host. And you can start to see also the natural light coming into the space from the south. And the green wall that we see behind us here in front of me is actually the beginning of what I explained before about passive design. So everything on the south, minus a few key points, is solid insulated wall, and the sun that we're getting is only through the skylights. The transition too that happens, you can imagine how do you create so much spatial drama within a space that's essentially 20 feet wide by 210 feet long. And so what I've done is create a magnitude of width through the space and a change of light quality. So we have this big entry space, and then you'll see it compressed down past the fireplace into a much darker space, only to then open up again once we get into the kitchen. This is the living kitchen. What I wanted to create in this space too is because I am an actually avid, I wouldn't say chef, but I love to cook. but I wanted to create a space that's warm and inviting and almost is like a library kind of a space, a credenza, more like furniture versus a laboratory. So though you'll see, the appliance, let's say the oven and a little bit of the sinks, it's not in your face. You don't see a lot of stainless steel. You see more of this open pour of wood that's on the outside of the cabinetry. From the kitchen onto the dining room, this borrows some of the space that you would think of like a free plan or a mid-century kind of modern vibe where we had this partition wall that's connecting the two rooms together. You could walk around it like an island, but it also creates a differentiation between the spaces. Now walking into the dining room. And the dining room is, again, rotated 90 degrees to where you've experienced it before. And it has a direct view and a transition again from the public to the private spaces. One of the things that I want you to notice is what I've created with these 4 vignettes of wing walls, which is the transition from public to private space. When we're standing on this side of the brook, the street side of the brook, you'll have views towards the outside, towards the neighbor, towards the yard. When you cross over the other side and you look back, you'll have privacy, and that's all done passively through design. And I call it the elimination of geometric gymnastics. And it goes back to what I was talking about before of being in the tree line. So now we're essentially 20 feet above the brook that's below us and right smack dab in the middle of the trees. And you can start to see the pool back there. Let's walk through the main area. So you'll notice these 4 little vignettes. And if you recall what I was mentioning before of the big drums over there, boom, boom, boom. Here I always imagined, again, the change from the big volume space of the public to the private. And it would imagine like ding, 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 like a staccato. We've entered the private area, which is the family or den. And one of the attributes that I also play with in architecture and design and interior design, besides lighting, is acoustics and the appreciation of feeling different spaces through that. If you were here with me, you would really feel the deadening of the echo, the more intimate space. And that's just created simply with wrapping wood the whole way through the space, which absorbs all of the reverberation. The room is also designed in such a way to create a single vantage point. To me, when I designed it, I actually thought of the transition from the original Mario Brothers to Super Mario Brothers to Sonic the Hedgehog, because you started to see the murray effect of layering behind it. This is here the main hall. And this hall is maybe, I don't know, we could check, one of the longest hallways in residential design. But again, this wall here faces south, protected from the sun, protected from heat. All of this are rotating art display. We've partnered with different galleries at one point or another, and we keep changing that. But you can see the sun is coming through the skylights, shining on this wall, reflecting, and you get all of this abundance of light. The doors on the right side are to bedrooms and bathrooms. And one of the things that you obviously notice is this carpet, this rug that we partnered with a company called Verdi, Verdi, and it was an artistic expression. It's a woven rug that is made out of natural yarn, copper, and stainless steel, and it's represented of a copperhead snake, which is a national icon in the country of Colombia where this was made. The idea was to be encompassed by nature on the north and the south. And this is one of the only rooms that actually has a window facing south where you get a lot of heat gain. And it was purposefully done. And there's usually a shade that comes up and down automatically. So from here, you have this abundance of light. The notion was that starting the day or ending the day, you always were, in nature and landscape all the way through. So again, in this space, you can really feel the auditory experience change, and the acoustics are really different. Wrapping in wood, It's the same 20 feet that we had for the rest of the house, but it's rotated this way, 90 degrees. And the reason I designed it this way is that this window is facing to the west where the sun would be setting. And if we walk across towards the primary bathroom, it's facing east. And that's where you'll get your first glimpse of light as you start the day in the bathroom. So in the primary bathroom, it's laid out again in a almost same size as the actual bedroom. I try to make bedrooms a little bit more intimate and smaller. I feel like it's a much more comfortable way of being, but the actual bathroom should be larger because there's more motion of things happening here. There's actually a cool little trick that I did, and it's a linear, again, single point perspective, but you get this mirror that makes it feel like the space is just continuing. Yeah, it's almost like the start of a James Bond movie. All right, let's go outside. So I spoke at the beginning about the entry being only a single step. And now when we get to the end of the house, there's actually a procession of walking out, and it's almost a full story down to get there because the site, again, as I mentioned, is sloping down. What I love about this is it creates a grand entrance. Imagine when you have events and everybody's down there. It feels that anybody walking into the space is elevated. And it's kind of one of those like, hey, look at me. Everybody feels like a superstar. So you have another outdoor area here. You have the pool. But then let's walk past this area. This is an update that we recently did to Bridge House. And it incorporates an outdoor wood-burning oven. From here, there's also another meandering path that goes and connects directly to the primary suite, and we saw that entry point back there. All right, so from the upper courtyard area, we could also walk downstairs to the outdoor kitchen and dining room, which connects to the pool house area. So out here, we got a full kitchen with a pizza oven, grill, drink center, and all of this connects to the indoor, outdoor living room. What's nice about this space is because we also went down lower, you have a disconnection from the sound, and you could be a little bit louder from your neighbors. I mainly use this space for entertaining for guests because it's really nice to be able to have, imagine like watching a TV inside, your pool is right outside, there's a whole indoor kitchen behind that space. A lot of the grilling happens out there. I should also mention that this is the home base for DBA, where we work. So right behind the kitchen is the studio, and where we spend the days, collaborating and making all these projects happen. And we get to also use these spaces to relax and come up with more creative ideas. So it's nice to be able to work in a space that we designed and have that great indoor-outdoor relationship, that great landscape design, and something that is very Los Angeles. One of the neat things here is to stand and to see from here, you get to really experience the bridge portion of the house and see how it feels like this entire mass is levitating out of nature. And on purpose, we worked with the existing landscape that's here, complemented it, but really used some of the big growth trees that were already there so as to mask the house. So you can never really get a glimpse of its entirety and length. And from this side, it just feels like, wait a minute, where is this energy emanating from? Let's cross over though. This is a really neat little spot. And we're actually standing on a bridge made out of the same steel that was used to build the house. So this is the 90% recycled steel. And you can see the brook running through. This is a naturally occurring brook. It starts off around the area of Griffith Park, if you know Los Angeles, and it ends all the way at the Bayona Creek and Marina del Rey. So thanks everybody for spending the time here with us today at Bridge House. One of the reasons that I designed this was to have experiences like this. I truly believe that great architecture can change your mindset to better living and more comfort. I think you can get a sense of that a little bit in the landscape and the way we combine the two. For more videos like this, why don't you follow Estate Media? They've done some other amazing tours for other great pieces of architecture. Again, thanks for your time.